Well, I am no expert with lashing, but this is what I came up with. All of this is pine pitch glue. I put some across this knot. That's the weak point in the system. Everywhere this string goes across these angles I don't really like. If I was a metal worker or something, I'd round all these edges. But for now, I think it's okay. I think it would work in a pinch. I'm gonna see what it'll do real quick. When I'm all done, I am gonna cut this loose and get it out of here. This is a very wet stick, and this aspen, after you take the bark off, it's just super slimy. It's starting to dry out right now, but I don't want this 01 tool steel to rust inside there. It's probably already started to rust. I know my knives already were, and I just oiled them now. But I'm going to stab this into that piece of oak real quick. I'm not going to get too carried away. I'm just going to kind of see, I'm just going to test it and see, you know, what happens. That one was a decent thrust right there. It's rock solid. I can see with the weak point, I don't think my lashing's the weak point. I think this stick right here. You see how much flex it had in it. It's just a popple stick, you know. I think it snapped before my lashings did. Give her a couple of more whacks here and see what happens. That's about as hard as I'm going to do it. I don't want to get too carried away. That worked pretty good. I mean, you'd want to do a bit harder than that for an animal, but that'd do some serious damage, even that amount of thrust. So, I like that. That's not too bad at all. I suck at lashing, but this pine pitch really kind of saved me. Just made sure everything stays nice like that. I'm going to grab a, well, I guess I already threw it out. I was going to see how well this will cut. I've got one more thing left that I want to do with this. Now I kind of hate to cut that loose, but I know it's going to rust if I don't. But I've got one more thing in store. I'm going to let this thing dry out for a few days, and I'll get back to this and try one more thing I've been thinking about that I want to try. Okay guys, this is the last test I wanted to put this spear point through. I don't know if you can see how much it penetrated. This is a broadhead target for a bow, for archery. Now would I necessarily throw this spear at something? I don't know. I'd probably have to be pretty desperate. I think it's a better thrusting weapon myself. I just wanted to check it out. You know, I'm testing it, see what I could do, have a little fun. Overall, I think this spearhead did a really good job. It did everything I asked it to do. I know when I was throwing it into that oak stump, it penetrated pretty good. And when my spear was longer, I've cut this one down. I don't know if you noticed that, but I cut it down a little bit. Anyway, when this spear was longer, I put it into that oak stump, and the whole weight of the shaft was bending on the spear point, and it hasn't bent or anything. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it's pretty straight. And it's fairly sharp. I did touch it up just a tiny bit, That's pretty sharp. And I've hit the ground a couple times. I'm not the most accurate thrower. I've hit the ground a couple of times. This side's a little dull, but I think this thing held up pretty well. Personally, I think being able to lash this spear point on the inside of a shaft like this in this notch is much more secure than trying to lash your knife to the outside. I think it holds it a lot better. It's easier for me to lash. Something like this, do I think this is an essential piece of gear? Absolutely not. Is it kind of a fun piece of gear that I would pack? Absolutely. This thing I think is going to help me collect chaga. I think I should have thought of this before. But if I was stranded out somewhere, I would certainly put it to use. I could see that. Sometimes something like this, I look at this as an entertainment dollar spent. I don't remember what it cost. You can look on their website, but I know I think it cost between $50 and $70. For me to have something that's entertainment, it's entertainment for me just to look at it. I think it's nice. Just to kind of carry it, pack it, just have it, is entertainment for me. It's like going to the movies or going out to dinner or going to the bar for some people, I guess. If you don't do that for a couple of times, if I don't go to the movie for twice, I've got this thing paid for. Now, obviously the wife probably wants to go to the movie more than she wants to look at this Spearpoint, but I would rather have the Spearpoint. So I look at it as entertainment dollar, and I look at hours I will have it for as opposed to the amount of money I would have spent on something else, like going to the movies. So you can spend 20 bucks, let's say, for yourself, going to the movies for a couple of hours, and then that entertainment dollar, that's gone. This I will have probably forever, as long as I stop throwing it into broadhead targets and stop throwing it into stumps. I'm going to take care of it now. I'm not going to do anything like that with it. I wanted to field test it, but I think you can, hopefully you can see my point. This is what I spend my entertainment dollar on, so it's not such a big, foolish purchase, I guess you might say, for me. Because I almost won't spend my money on going out to eat or going out to lunch. A lot of guys who I work with go out to lunch. I pack my lunch every day. So I figure I can spend my money on something like this. Anyway, enough of that. I think this is a pretty cool product. Pathfinder Spearpoint. Held up to everything I put it through. Hope you like that.